and Klara's hope was torn from her chest. His face was just as handsome, but in place of Callum's unruly dark curls and piercing, unusual gaze, were fiery hair, a scattering of freckles, and fine sculpted lips. This was the boy from her vision in the tomb of Maze Howe. "Thomas, but how?" Klara paused, wondering if she could trust her eyes. "Do you know who I am?" It was his turn to look uncertain. He shook his head as if to clear it. "I thought I did, but I must have mistook you for someone else." His thick Scottish brogue was so like Callum's, but there the resemblance ended. Klara's eyes fell to his dirk, the blade dark with blood, and remembered the drawing in his notebook, how Thomas had perfectly captured her likeness. "Thomas, it is me. Klara Spalding, the last pillar?" His face turned white. "Grevens, you're alive." "Me? Of course. But Llaw killed you." Nothing was making sense. Thomas was supposed to be lying in a pool of his own blood, still as the stones beneath him. "Callum saw you." The sword's pommel pulsed in Klara's hand, emeralds glinting, and she remembered it being nearly ripped from her grasp. Remembered Llaw's tormented dark eyes widening as he seized the blade and plunged it into his own chest. Remembered grabbing for his cloak as he began to spin. "Callum?" Thomas repeated sharply. "What do you know of him?" How to explain? Too much had happened in the week since Klara had nearly run over a stranger, lying broken and unconscious in the middle of the road. "It's a long story," she sighed. "But when I met him, he was trying to avenge your death." Thomas gave her a hard look, taking in her t-shirt and jeans. "You are not from here. Why would Callum?" "Same reason I'm here now." She really didn't feel like talking about it. "A demigod who's careless about who he brings along when travelling through time? He's dead," she added almost as an afterthought. "Llaw?" Thomas's voice was grim. "I know." Now it was Klara's turn to stare. "He was the one who—" "He almost killed me, but he was careless. After he stabbed me, I fell to the ground, hit my head on a cobblestone." Thomas tugged at the rough wool of his coat. "Knocked me out, but head wounds always bleed, and it turns out he merely nicked my ribs. When I came to, I could still see him standing in front of a portal. So I killed him. As you say, he is gone." "No." Klara shook her head, trying to make sense of what Thomas was telling her, though the truth was just as strange. "I saw him take his own life. He fell upon my blade." Thomas was staring at her sword, at the gem-encrusted hilt. Klara gripped it a little more tightly. It was one of Grams's most precious possessions, brought out only once before the day she gave it to Klara. "Where?" Thomas demanded. "And when?" There was a strange light in his eyes, and Klara remembered what Callum had said about the weeks before Thomas's death, how strange his behaviour had become. Disappearing for days at a time, staring without seeing, muttering of evil creatures and death. "The Ring of Brodgar," she said flatly, "in the year 2022. Thomas's mouth worked, whether in shock or calculation Klara couldn't tell. And then his face softened, his eyes losing their metallic glint and fading to a soft blue, as he bowed from the waist. He sheathed his dirk and wiped his hands on his pants. "So you are a pillar," he said formally. "Like me." And with these words, the facts shifted in Klara's mind, like the rearrangement of atoms in an intermolecular reaction. Same parts, different shape. Right now, this wasn't about losing Callum, or the place she'd left behind. It couldn't be. "We're the last ones," she affirmed. "Llaw is dead, by your hand or his own."